Hello folks, we are back. We are back in a race around Kyalami and not the Nürburgring. As you can see from the title of the thumbnail, I'm a bit frustrated, and I'm actually frustrated with the experience currently on the Nürburgring, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So I joined a server on Kyalami, didn't do any qualifying, didn't do any practice, and I haven't driven around Kyalami for about 2 months, so it was a little rusty. So thankfully I started at the back of the grid, or near the back of the grid, and what I did is actually just slam my brakes on at the beginning, and I went to the back and then just basically tried to stay alive. This guy in front of me, Mr. Wiggles I call him, because he wiggles around all over the place. We'll be seeing him later on. But yeah, first few laps here were just a case of really surviving and also getting my braking points and just getting familiar again with the circuit and with racing other cars driven by non-AI around a circuit that is not the Nürburgring. So yeah, and desperately aiming to rebuild my safety rating. So, why am I frustrated? Well, the experience currently around the Nürburgring is how do I say it without being deeply offensive? It's challenging. So, I joined a race. Now, I joined with only, I think, 4 or 5 minutes left on the qualifying run. So, I can't complete a lap. So, I can't do the qualifying. There's not enough time. So, you sit in the garage and you wait. And then as you sit in the garage and everyone piles through and the clock ticks down to 0, you then have a maximum wait time while everyone completes their lap. Because if someone runs over the finish line with 10 seconds to go, that person then needs to be allowed to finish the lap. Now normally, on normal circuits, that's a maximum of a couple of minutes. Obviously around the Nürburgring, that can be anything up to 9 minutes wait time. So there actually is a max wait time of 9 minutes around the Nürburgring. And that, coupled with the sort of 5 or 6 minutes I had in quali and all this kind of time it takes with the servers to sort of start the race and stuff, I was sitting around for 15 minutes. And then you start the race. I get assigned a random spot, I think, because I wasn't the only one in that position. And I was assigned, I think, I can't even remember what it was. I think I was assigned 9th or 10th position, something like that. Because, not everyone, there was only one person did a valid lap, and a very good lap indeed, of an 8:16, I think the guy did. So a really, really quick time. I would have got nowhere near that. He's obviously an experienced driver. So you've waited 15 minutes. You then start the race. You start the rolling start. I immediately hang over to the left-hand side, and you're heading into the first corner at the Nürburgring, so ideally you want to be on the outside so you can avoid anything. And then some absolute moron from behind just decides to bowling ball everyone, smashes into everyone, and takes out 3 or 4 of us, and that's the end of that. My safety rating gets nailed. I've waited 15 minutes, and then some idiot comes along and just bashes into the back of everyone. Now, I am no expert driver. Things happen, but this is someone just being deliberately just obtuse and annoying. And that follows on the back of my Monday night experience, which was broadly the same, although I did manage a qualifying lap. You're waiting and waiting and waiting, up to 20 minutes to start your race. By the time you've done your laps, waited the maximum wait time, started the race. I'd actually got round 3 or 4 corners on the GP circuit, thinking, oh, here we go. And then some guy in a BMW decides to sort of make some ludicrous move, goes onto the grass to do it. There was, it's just nowhere he can go, and skids off the grass, whacks into the back of me, and takes me out of the race again. And that's another 20 odd minutes, completely wasted. My safety rating gets hammered, and, again, just very, very frustrating. So, this has been, I reckon this is the reason I've noticed a big drop-off in the servers running the big Nordschleife circuit. There's only a couple of servers now doing it, And I reckon that's why. I reckon people are frustrated with it. It's not... It can be a brilliant experience, but it can also be very, very frustrating. Well, I'm certainly from my experience. You are doing it in open lobby, so this is partially to be expected, but you are dealing with a game that has under 1,000 players. It's a sim. These are meant to be people who are enthusiasts. You know, they've bought the DLC. Most people do, because, you know, ACC is a game that lives and dies by its circuits. So, you know, people do buy the DLC circuits. And then that's just the way they act. And, you know, I spent a long time building my safety rating up. It was up at 94. The maximum is 99. I'd really got myself, you know, on the right path to progressing to the top ranked safety rating. And I'm now down at 86. And it's all because people just decide to act like that within the first few corners of a race. Sure, I made mistakes. My first race, I crashed. But, you know, I crashed on my own. There was no one around me. And it wasn't a deliberate act. You know, these people are just doing stupid things. So it's very, very frustrating. So, you know, I think, although my quest to become good around the Nordschleife, I'll still continue. It will be less likely that I'll be doing or hunting out lots of races, unless I can come across like some leagues that have been running, you know, or like servers that I recognise the server name, and I think, oh yeah, I've had good experience with these people before, then I'll join in. But I think it's going to be less and less frequent, which is a real shame, because it's such a wonderful circuit. It can be so brilliant for racing. It's the most challenging circuit in the world. But yeah, frustrated experience. So I jumped into Kyle Army straight in, and actually, little fun fact, the guy who set the 8:16 qualifying time also jumped into the server right behind me. So I'm guessing 2 or 3 corners down the line, he was also taken out. You know, which, you know, that's a guy who's good around the Nürburgring, seriously good racer, and he's had to come and do exactly the same as me and join a different server. So very frustrating experience. But we are on Kyle Army, and as I come around the corner, I get my own, and through goes Hamilton moment. You know, past we go. That's just the advantage sometimes of taking your time in an open lobby. You know, quite often when you start from the back, you know you've got a bit of pace, and you know fine well there are going to be incidents. So if you just be patient and take your time, what I tend to do, particularly when I'm trying to build up my safety rating, is I would actually rather start from the back and try and work on my racecraft, work on my ability to make overtakes, pick my way through. Generally what I'll do is I'll look at the qualifying times coming in, and usually the top 1 or 2 have times that are unobtainable for me. They're usually half a second quicker than my personal best. So I know I'm not going to win the race. So at that point I'm like, right, fine, I'll go to the back, I'll look at the times at the back, and I'm 3 or 4 seconds quicker than those. So I'm like, okay, this should be fine. And I start the race that way. And then if you're just patient, you don't have to go out from lap 1, start setting, you know, lap records and personal bests and all that. Just be patient, don't crash, pick your spots, and you'll make your way through, because people make mistakes, and it's just much more enjoyable, you know, not to be involved in these incidents and just get smashed off the place. So that's what I've done. You're seeing the race here in the background. You've probably seen in the footage, if you've paid attention to it, there was a lot of accidents, a lot of incidents. I've avoided most of them, and actually I'd worked my way up. I think at this point in the race, I think I was probably running 6th, I think, out of 19 cars in this race, so not bad. And I think that Ferrari in the distance, that little speck in the distance, that is Mr. Wiggles. So we are now hunting him down. I'm now, at this point in the race, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling back to sort of, as I say that, I just ran wide and went too deep into the corner, but I'm beginning to push now because I'm trying to catch him. But I'm beginning to get my braking points. Still not got them nailed on. I've still hit some of the curbs I shouldn't hit. You'll have seen a few minutes ago in the footage that I caught a yellow inside sausage curb, and that bounced me off into the gravel. You know, silly mistakes like that, you know, if you've been racing the circuit regularly, you don't really make. But we are now picking up pace. You can see now we're carrying much more speed through the corners, and as you can see, that little red speck is we're catching him. So, it's just a case of get your head down now, put some solid laps in. There's no one around me, there's no one behind me, and you're just confident. I'm confident at this point. I can also see dust being kicked up, so I'm thinking, well, there's probably a mistake coming up as well. So just be smooth, don't do anything dramatic, and you will catch him. And at this point, I'm actually putting in some pretty solid laps. So round Kyalami, I think my personal best was a 1:42.3. Not bad. The esports teams are, a qualifying lap for them is, I have seen a 39.9, but generally it's a 40.1, 40.2. That would be considered a good time. A good race time would be a 40.5, a 40.7, something like that. So a 42.3 is not bad. Actually, on the clocks here, I had 42.1s, 42.2s, and actually toward the end here, I did have on my Delta 41.7. So I was really, really pleased that, having had 2 months away, it shows I am progressing. I am learning how to gain speed in corners I couldn't do before, and that's nearly 0.6 of a second up on what my previous personal best was. And now, as you can see, the Ferrari in front of me is much, much closer. So now we come into the point where, there's no one else around. So you're really dealing with this situation as a one-on-one. So I'm trying to now anticipate what this guy's going to do. Obviously, I've seen he is wiggling around. So my guess is the guy's on a controller. His steering inputs seem quite sort of erratic and jarring. So I'm guessing at this point he's on a controller. So I'm bearing that in mind as well. So quite often what I'll do is for a lap or two, I will keep my distance and see where I'm quick. And obviously, yeah, you can see in the braking zone going up that hill, I know I'm faster. You can see that corner there, because of the undulations as you come out of it, it does require some smooth inputs. And I could see there he was all wiggling around all over the place, which confirms to me I think this guy was on controller. He's also backing me up there with his braking. So, I know at this point, he's not bad. He's going along at a reasonable pace. He's running wide there, so he's really pushing. So I think I'm at this point, I'm trying to plot where I'm quicker and where I think I can make the move. And also, I'm trying to stay out of trouble because I know at some point he's probably going to make a mistake. He's been off the track. He's running wide. He's going deep. And again, heavily into the braking zone here. So I've definitely got the guy on the brakes. I think we know that. I can see that. And this is me now. I'm not going to do anything stupid. There's no point. I'm trying to bait him here. I'm trying to throw little lunges, little dives, and just trying to sort of like trick him into going deep or running wide. He actually nudges me off there. Can you believe that? I checked the overhead replay camera angle and he moved across and tried to punt me off. So that again is who you're dealing with, but not too bad. I think it was just a gentle bit of the old Days of Thunder rubbings racing type stuff, but and then we got yellow flags, so I know there's an incident there, so I have to back off and he gets round and there's a little gap there, but I'm not too worried about that. I know I've got the pace. So again, we close right up here in the braking zone. I mean, just look at the closing in the braking zone. Half that lead he'd gained, I've already got back. So really now, again, trying to get close to him, building up, being patient, and that is the very essence that I've been trying to learn about racing is, particularly with GT cars, the performance of these cars is all very, very close. There's something called balance of performance, and it's very circuit specific. And then there he goes, he's made a mistake. And so we took a dive up the inside and we're on the inside, we're on the defensive. He's going to cut back and have a switch back, but I think we've got the move done. So there's something called balance of performance, and it's very circuit specific. It's designed to make sure all the cars are evenly balanced on every circuit. So sometimes you have a circuit that is better suited to a Ferrari or a Porsche or a front-engined Aston Martin or BMW. And what they do is they'll then put in little they'll add 20 kilograms, or they'll put in rev limits on cars, or they'll do little things to just tweak the performance to cost half a second here or there on a lap, and it actually balances it out. So when you're racing one-on-one like that with someone, you really are, performance is the similar. I don't have speed advantages in exactly the same car as me. So you have to be patient, you have to pick your spot, and you have to just, particularly when you're trying to build up your ratings, you can't just dive in. Quite often I am holding back and not pushing and trying to make the guy make a mistake. And here now I'm past him, I'm actually really pushing now to build a big gap, because, this is an online lobby. You never know when the guy's going to take either offense to being overtaken, or he's going to try and come back at you and just do a big send up the inside. So it's hammer down now and see if we can build a gap. And as you can see from the rear camera, we are building a gap. And actually this was, I think it's one of these laps when I was pushing, when I actually had the 41.7 on the Delta. And there's some dust kicking up there, and that's from another Ferrari. So again, my head's down, and it's like, can we get this guy? And I think at this point I was 5th. Yeah, I think I was 5th in this point. So that guy in front of me is 4th. So we are pushing. I'm thinking to myself again, if I close up, he sees that I'm quick. Whenever you're looking in your rear view mirror, and you've also got a timing, like a positional timing screen as well, so you know how far the car behind and how far the car in front are. And there you are. He's made a mistake. He's panned it out. He's hit the grass and he's put it into the barrier, and through we go. So up to 4th. So there's a lesson. It's just patience, and this is hard. People are going to make mistakes. The esports boys, they make it look so easy, but the general play, it's not. And I make mistakes, everyone else makes mistakes. So you look at your timings and you see how far people are ahead of you, and you think, right, if I'm lapping well, then I've got a chance to close on this guy. And the second they see you closing, and they look at their timing screen, they look at their camera, and they see you're catching them, that just makes people make mistakes. It puts pressure on them. So, you start to move your car just to the inside, so they think, oh, he's going to make a lunge, he's going to make a dive, and it makes them run wide. You're doing anything you can to just make them make a mistake. And that really is the art of successful racing, I think, particularly in these cars that are all so evenly balanced, is can you feint, can you jink, can you be consistent and not make mistakes and force others to do so. And if you do that, then you are, you're on the way to good results. You'll see there was a jump in the video there, and that's because there was nothing else happened. The top 3 were miles ahead. I was 4th at this point. I was well clear. The guy had hit the wall in 4th place, so the guy I overtook, so he's got damage. So he was no danger at all. There's a back marker. He's given up. So it really was just a case of getting to the finish line now. Get to the finish line and no mistakes, and we finished the race. So yeah, that's what we're doing. No dramas, nothing to report. A good solid race round Kyalami, no Nürburgring. Here's all the fireworks and the smoke for a 4th place finish. And yeah, drove quite well, quite happy with it. Stayed out of trouble and gained 2 points back in the old safety rating. So yeah, happy with that. And yeah, hopefully see you in another video.